Let's be honest, if somebody wasn't late, would it really be the start to a season of the Refinery? Well, all I can say is that in the immortal words of the poet and philosopher Shaggy, wasn't me. Ulysses by James Joyce, page 1. I will, yes. Hey, there's John. Heyo. Gotcha. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Good. Excited to be back. How's it going?
It's crazy. Season 3 starting off with a very slow fused bang, but I'm super pumped.
What is
Well, there he is, sideways as usual.
Of course, this is bull. Beep.
There he is. Can't hear you though. I like this.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
Let's did I get it?
You got
did
it.
I get it?
Was
With
it?
sugar in it. Huh?
See,
Glasses.
where am I supposed to look?
Season 3. Cheers.
Welcome back, gents.
Cheers.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
All right. How is everybody? I mean, let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, the Clydesdale in the room. We saw each other in person.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
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 Like I was going through just pictures today and I saw, John, a video you had taken on my phone that I didn't realize you had taken. And it's Brandon, you're in the pen with Smokey Joe. And John, you're watching that. We're listening to music. And then all of a sudden you just cut up towards me sitting up on the rail. And I was like, man, that was a good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Definitely was. And it was a surprise. I think we didn't figure it out till the night before. It was just an impromptu, like, let's meet up tomorrow night, whatever time it is, and make it happen.
Yeah.
Mm.
I appreciate it.
I'm curious for the both of you. What were your takeaways from how unexpected it was? Because you didn't plan it. No one knew that Colt was gonna. I don't know if we can talk about it or not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
While you were in LA.
I was in LA. I just hadn't let you guys know about it. And so it was one of those moments of being like, so from that aspect, I was excited because I was like, I know I'm going to see them to some degree once I'm done filming. I just don't know how this is going to shake out. The fact that then you were like, okay, as soon as you're done filming, head over to the stables. Like that made it a really, really nice moment. Seeing John for the first time, seeing you for like the second time, and just knowing how close we all are and how we've genuinely formed a friendship. It made me look back at things like pen pals and things like things that I hadn't necessarily given the time to acknowledge before, and realized like, oh no, two of my very close guy friends are, or my close friends in general. I have a fucking 2 handfuls at best. And I hadn't even met one of them, and I'd only met the other one momentarily. So it was between those two things, those were my 2 takeaways.
Love it.
That.
Yeah.
Love it.
John, what about you? You had the beautiful houndstooth coat on.
Yeah. Honestly, I love the spontaneity of it. Like the idea of it just showing like it all aligning for us to link up and be able to hang out. Because I thought we were going to maybe meet up for a half hour. I didn't know how long we were going to meet up. I mean, I think we chilled for almost 2 or 3 hours. And just the conversation, just like we grow up thinking, or especially lately, it's like the whole idea of like bonds with men and like that brotherhood that you want to be able to connect and like really be open. And just like within seconds, we're able to have honest conversation. And it being the first time, Colt, you and I actually meeting in person. And it's like, it felt like it's funny when you see a celebrity that you've been watching on TV for a very long time, and you see them in person, you're like, oh, it's you. And that's like what it felt like. That. Even though it was like someone I'm already very close with. I have a crazy brotherhood with you. We've opened up about so many things. I've shared with you a bunch of things, and dude, then I don't know. It was just a surreal, beautiful moment, just to share. And also like also watching Brandon, like you and Smokey had a new
Oh,
moment
dude.
together, and to be present for that was just like it's just one of those nights where you're just being at this calm place. I think that it was being present, like at its beautiful, most amazing examples. Like everything that night was a perfect example of being present. I wasn't thinking about other stuff. I wasn't thinking about what I was doing before, what I could do later. Like it was just like, cool, I'm hanging out with you two. Like I'm just glad to be here. I think that was my biggest takeaway.
Well, there's something I got to say that caught me off guard that was really funny to me looking back at it. You came in and Brandon and I were already like down there. He was introducing me to some of the horses, and you came in and you were like, "Hey, dude," and it caught me off guard because I was like, "I know you. What do you?" And then I was like, "Oh wait, we've never met." And you literally had to say, "You were like, I can't believe we've never met." And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, no, I don't." Sorry, hey, how you doing? Like, but it genuinely caught me off guard, and I hadn't even had any whiskey at that point. So like, it was just true blue. It was nice.
But why did I? This is another segue. I'm so sorry, because I have so many.
I love it.
I want to. What I want to ponder. What I want to ponder within the group, and maybe even to the audience at some point, right? Which is, for some reason, long distance friendships really work, but the second they become romantic, they are difficult. But we've been able to sustain, seemingly. I mean, Colt and I. 5 years or 5+ years since we did the Magic Mike audition.
Yeah. Oh, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's been good.
Yeah. I've enjoyed
it. It's been good to where it's like, second time I've seen you, and I'm like, I can go another 5. I don't want to, of course, because just, whatever. But the second time, and it's just like, damn. Why is it so much different when the intimacy to cultivate a romantic relationship shifts so much? I just want to ponder that. It's more of a rhetorical hypothetical because it could open up another conversation.
I mean, inevitably it will, just because yesterday's, but tomorrow's. Oh, we're living in a crazy thing. Time is a flat circle. The thing is, our episode tomorrow and next Thursday yesterday is about long distance relationships.
Come on.
I swear. I'm like, wait a second. Did we talk about this?
Never.
That's why if you cut back in this, I'm like, what the fucking what? Yeah. So we talk about the main question tomorrow, or Thursday's episode is about what's the main question you need to be asking yourself before engaging in a long distance relationship. And next Thursday's episode is about how to make it work, because the truth is, over the course of Ange and I's decade plus together, about a third of that has been long distance. Between me touring with Pink, her touring with Aladdin, me shooting different shows, or us just being in different places, like it's been a lot of time apart. So it's really funny that you bring that of all things up. What I will say is that not the most important things, because that's going to vary person to person, but we talked early in 2020 about like dating or mid 2020 about dating in quarantine. Similar thing for long distance relationships. John, it genuinely, when I say it caught me off guard, because I felt like I know you. We've spent a lot of time talking, and had we been dating, we would have spent a lot more time talking. And because of these amazing things like FaceTime, Zoom, Skype, whatever you're using, it opens us up to a whole new world of connection, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder, and the reason that I say it's not the most important things or the least important things, and that varies person to person, is that the physical aspect is still there. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to act like if the first time you kiss someone, it doesn't have a huge impact on you. The first time that you are physical with someone have a huge impact on you. Knowing what they do and don't actually want, not what they say over the phone, but what they do and don't like, that's a huge thing. But that 50% of just getting to know somebody, long distance or otherwise, like that romantic aspect, I think is very similar to what we're doing right now. Like, I don't know that it would be drastically different. To continue with your side caveat, which I think Jon is now going to continue.
Well, I think also I don't know. It's a very interesting point. I never thought about that we have been able to connect. Now, granted, I think we aim to have conversations that are very more open and vulnerable in the moment. We already know going into this. Where I think if we were meeting someone in person, there's a little bit of filler that gets mixed in, a more surface conversation, because you're trying to fill in some of the time. Whereas when you're on a call, you know how much time you're really going to be in a call. We don't do too often like open-ended 4-hour calls. Whereas if you go hang out with someone, if you go on a date, it could be 2, 3, 4 hours. And so you're trying to figure out how to fill in that time or what to do with that time. Where I think because of these Zoom calls and everything like that, everyone kind of knows it's going to be an hour roughly. So the conversation is more direct to the point of what we want to get to. I think we've been able to, like, we started by going in right into getting to deep conversations, wanted to have these vulnerable conversations. And I think because of COVID and everything like that, people were having deeper conversations. I don't think people were hitting each other up on Zoom and talking about the weather. And so I think that opens up for these deeper connections through long term. But it's interesting because it's like, it's true. It's like if there's a romantic part, how the romantic part plays a little bit of a caveat, because it's like I don't know. I've been in a long-term relationship, so I'm sure you can speak on this more. But I wonder if that brings more of attention to the relationship, or more of like a pressure to the relationship of having to talk more, because now everything is we can get on FaceTime any time of the day.
Yes, 100%, because you feel like you're talking more, but you're actually talking less. Like the truth is, you're talking drastically less. I have talked to Ange for going on 16 hours today, and she was only out of the house, or like I went on a long run, so I was out for an hour and a half. She went out to run some errands. She was gone for an hour and a half. So what, 13 hours of the day we were together and talking to some degree. But when you check in with somebody and you're like, wow, we spent 3 hours on the phone, that's so crazy. Like there is an element there of, and we talked about this in yesterday now's episode of, like, distance creates tension inevitably. Like that's going to happen. But there's so many other things that come into play. I mean, as we talked about in the episode, time zones, schedule shifting, you're living in different worlds. Like there's a lot of aspects that you have to acknowledge before that we are very fortunate that we don't have to acknowledge. And also there's not a societal pressure on 3 guys who are in a group chat to actually, like, I don't have to respond to the chat for days at a time. And neither of y'all is going to get mad. Or if you do, you're not going to bring it up to me, or you haven't. I should say you haven't. But you know, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you ghost them for days at a time, like, nah. And so like,
but isn't that interesting though? Like I got laughed because it's happened.
Yeah,
I think we've like posed the question, and 2 days later.
Yeah.
2 days later, you finally respond. But if you're dating someone, you're like, what do you mean they didn't get back to me in like an hour, 24 hours? And you're all in your feelings.
Does that come from expectation though, or like once you get into a relationship, and then there's an expectation of how you should be showing up or responding? Because the 3 of us keep it open. The 3 of us, we check in. One of us is responding almost every single day. There's something in the group chat, but no one's like, no one's been like, wow, Brandon, you haven't been responding in 3 days. Where are you? Like, it's just like, okay, he'll respond when time comes, and there's no expectation to what the conversation needs to be. You feel like in a relationship, it's only an unspoken expectation gets put on.
Yeah.
What's the necessity of attention? What's the necessity of intention? I know what y'all's intention is. I know what y'all's intention in life is. We've talked about it ad nauseum on here. Like I at least to some degree know what that is. And as much as I love you, the truth is, if any two of us ghosted a conversation, it would not change the trajectory of the other person's life. But in relationships, we give somebody else so much power, and we just say, well, I want you to be the thing that solves my thing, and now it's all good. So we give them all of that power, and their attention becomes our intention, and suddenly everything's just fucking off. Because the truth is, it should be that way for relationships in the beginning stages, at least in the stages we're talking about.
Yeah.
Across the board. But we don't treat it like that. You know, we like somebody and we're like, oh shit, oh my God, you're going to fix everything. You're going to be the thing.
Everything.
Everything's going to be better.
Yeah. Everything.
So it always works out.
Literally.
Yeah. Super healthy. But it's what we all do. And
yeah.
And I don't think we do that with our friends because we don't put that weight on them.
Same. Yep.
Yeah. But why do you think that happens? Why do you think that happens when it comes to a relationship that tends to be the outcome?
The expectation of it?
Yeah, like the unspoken expectation of like you should be responding more, we need to be checking in more, or like that added pressure.
It's what Colt said though. I think it's a societal thing that we've have ingrained in us. That I thought about this the other day. We are constantly subconsciously being told and being messaged to from all mediums, social media, regular news, newsstands, advertising on billboards, whether you actually thought you looked at the billboard or not, but driving by it, your brain caught it and picked up on it, right? So now you're like, why do I all of a sudden want to watch this new Disney movie called Raya? But you drove by 5 billboards and never thought twice about it. But now it's in you and you're like, I really want to watch this new movie. Huh, crazy. Go to Disney Plus, first thing you see, Raya. Okay, yeah, sure, click play, that's it. But there were 5 billboards that fed into you actually watching the movie.
Minimum.
So I believe romantically, minimum. I believe romantically we're fed this message of if they're not calling you back, if they're not texting you back, if they're not answering, if they're not sending you nudes, if they're not FaceTiming, if they're not, and if they are, then they equate to X. And if you fall off on any of those categories, you failed. Mm-hmm. Something's off. Something's wrong. They're seeing someone else. It's not going to work. They're not committed. They've got issues. They got trauma. You're triggered. All based on what society is telling us, instead of us actually trusting our guts and trusting ourselves. And if you do want to just build a genuine relationship, then cater to it and treat it the way you would treat me, treat Colt, or treat Ange, right?
But I think
that's how I feel about really it. Now, is that
No. Go. I've got a slight delay. Hit.
No. Slight delay. I love that, by the way. I wasn't talking over him. There was a delay on my end. But the last thing I wanted to say about that is like, it is, and this is it. It is definitely an easier said than done practice because of our programming, because of the Disney romances, because of the rom-coms, because of the books. It is easier said than done.
I think there's two things. There's 2 doors that I want to like close on this, which one of them is yes, I 100% agree with what you're saying. We are constantly inundated with this information from a million different, entry points that we've opened ourselves up to, but also nobody fucking knows. None of our elders seem to know anything more than what we already know, which is why I made the video about lust versus love. Like, you're just told, like, well, when you know, and you're just told you're offered these platitudes by everyone, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's your parents, whether they're doing the best they can. But that's why it was so important to me to be like, wait, do we have a working definition of love so that we can all just sit back and go, wait a second, okay, where I am, this relationship, let me look. And I'm talking about not just sexual relationships or romantic relationships, I'm talking about parents, friends, family, all that. To sit back and go, how have they acted to me over time? Not were they an ass to me at this point, but like, what is that over time? What does that look like? If I can genuinely look at that and go, that's not love. It suddenly gives you a metric, an empirical metric to kind of grade by. And what we don't get when we look at movies is, well, we got 2 hours and, oh no, this didn't work, but they loved enough. It was magic and they loved enough in their hearts, and that was it. But the truth is, what nobody points out in those movies is that they make these grand gestures, these actions that override. But we forget that those actions have to last for a lifetime, not for 2.5 hours. So that whole message is, it's kind of like, I don't know what the word, it's a C word, I feel like, but it's just like concentrated into this thing where, yes, a lot of the messages are great. And John and I were talking about this before you got on, Brandon. One of our, like, we did the West Side Story reaction video because it was something that was so important to us. But one of the other things we've talked about reacting to is like how Hollywood represents romance, and that one of the few couples that we've really seen that we love is Jim and Pam. Over 7-8 seasons, they're actually living the ups and downs and showing the arguments, and like, that was a relationship that I love. This Is Us, another great one, where they're showing over generations the ups and downs. It is not all fucking gravy. It will inevitably have really shitty times. I think I went off on a tangent, but I absolutely love that what you're saying is 100% true. It's, we look at a billboard and, like, let's say in the 90s, we were looking at a billboard for Coors Light and it had a bunch of girls in bikinis and ski boots. And we were like, and what that's saying is, well, if you drink Coors Light, you will get
you will get these girls.
Come on, you get them. Women like guys who drink Coors Light.
Who drink Coors Light.
Oh my God. Wow, I'm gonna start drinking Coors. This is great. And you know, that subliminal messaging and all that shit. But we have to take a step back at some point and go, wait a second. Is this magic? No, it's not. There's I don't want to say a science to it, but it's understandable. Love does have something that you can grasp in this world, and I believe that is in actions.
Damn.
Well, I think throwing the word infatuation is something that doesn't get talked about as well. I think there's a lot of people who get infatuated thinking they're in love, but it's a one side. They the rose-colored glasses on full blast.
Hey!
It's just like, oh, I see all the good of this person, and I'm gonna ignore all this other stuff, but I'm just gonna focus on this. And as it becomes an infatuation, and then the question eventually becomes, am I infatuated or I'm actually in love? And I think there's a phrase that a friend told me this years ago, and it was basically like, you know, you're in love when you want the person to be like whatever the universe can do for that person to make them happy, even if that means that you're not in the picture. Because I think infatuation means I need to be in the picture. Like, I want them happy, but only if I'm the one who's making them happy. Whereas being in love, having love for someone or being in love with someone, is like, at the end of the day, you want to see them happy. And there's a chance that it might mean that you're not the one who's ultimately making them happy. But if you truly want to see them happy, that's, I feel like, a form of love. Just because you were bringing up shows, have you guys seen Million Little Things?
I still haven't. No, but I know.
I've heard about it. I've heard about it, but
I think that show, like what we're talking about, Hollywood portrays this picture of what the world is like in this fantasy. Like, I think that show does such a good job of real life. Like, damn, like every episode you're just like, damn, that would suck for that to happen. But that really does happen. Like, that, it doesn't ruin anything. The first episode basically is, it's like, it's a group of friends, like it's all of them, and one of them who you would never think. And it was kind of crazy for me because the guy's name is John, and like, he's the positive one, he's the happy one. Everyone goes to him for everything. He's the one that, like, life is great, everything is taken care of, he's all good, and he commits suicide. And everyone is just like blind to him, because they're like, how is, of all people, why did he commit suicide? And then, like, the whole show unravels like why he committed suicide, but also like he planned it out. Like, he knew it was his time. He was going to dip out, but he left like things out. But it was just the whole show. Every episode, there's from almost cheating to someone else. There's so many things that happen throughout the whole 4 seasons. And right now, the new season, not the new season, but they just added episodes because of COVID. They stopped shooting because of COVID, and now the new episodes, they went back to when COVID was happening and then incorporating COVID into the show of what is going on and like literally dealing with life. Like one of them owns a restaurant, like what happened to the restaurant industry with COVID. But I think that show does such a great job, and especially with love, like there's 2 people in that show where it's this up and down roller coaster, and one thing they want something, but then they're long distance, and then and it's all real. Like this is the shit that really fucking happens in real life. And I really have appreciated the show, even though there's some parts where it triggers because you're like, damn, like that has happened. I've seen that happen. Yeah. So I appreciate the honesty, because I think that's the big thing. Like you're saying, is like Hollywood paints a nice picture of what it could be and like how wonderful, but it doesn't show that for it to be wonderful, there's it's a roller coaster. There's a lot of up and downs you're going to deal with, and a lot of heartaches that you're going to deal with, and trust and all these things. And going into a relationship knowing that, I think is a component that I would think going into long distance is like, it's a level of trust that you're just like, no, I know this is all right, cool. Like I know this is gonna happen. We unfortunately have to like do things separate. And I actually saw a quote today where it's like a sign of a great relationship is when both people know they don't necessarily need the other person. And I think there's a level of being like, I know I'm gonna do what I need to do, but once we attach ourselves to the other person, that's where I think like that pull and dance can go in different ways, and not necessarily in the best way.
I get that.
And my little piggyback to that, and then we'll wrap up this. I'm so sorry for sending us down this hole for like.
Brother. The caveat's the episode.
Yeah.
Jon jumps in on episode 2.
I'm ready with a topic if we need it, but the thing is, this honest conversation is really what the show's about.
Hey, come on, that's a clip. And I saw them cut the commercial right there. This is what the show's all about. On the next season of the Refinery, Jon Gorski gets real. No, but I think what you're saying about love and actions, for me, it's choice, right? Like choice is so important. So the 2 people have to know that they don't need each other, but they also have to choose each other. Because what we're talking about now, as far as how the relationship grows, not choosing someone is a quick way for the relationship to dwindle, right? Choosing someone says, no, this is my person. Like they're the person that I want to be with, the person I'm choosing to be with romantically. And that doesn't mean like, yeah, I'm going to go off and make choices that would go against a relationship that you say you commit to, right? My grandfather told me this before he died. One of the last conversations we had was about choice and putting the work in. And I got into this big fight with a woman I've talked about her pretty frequently. And she was like, I don't know, I just want fireworks, and I want this, and I want that. And I was like, yo, that sounds very like instantaneous, very like instant gratification, very quick. I said, do you know why we only celebrate 4th of July once a year, and we only celebrate, we only do fireworks on like 4th of July and New Year's? You know why? Because it's quick. It's a quick celebration. And once it's done, it's done. I said, but then what are you doing for the rest of the year? You're living. I said, we can't be living for love and looking for love in a moment of fireworks, because it's just for that moment. But what are you going to do with the rest of your time, the rest of your life? What are you going to do with it? And that's where I believe choosing someone, even in long distance, means maybe we didn't have the best like phone call today, because I've had it. Oh my God. When you hop on the phone and it's just dead and it's just like, what are you up to? I'm just working. Okay, cool. How was your day? It was good. How was yours? It's cool. It's cool. Just like you didn't talk to them yesterday, so there's nothing exciting happening. Okay. And you sit on the phone for like 15 minutes in dead silence. Did you say something? No, didn't say anything. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go to bed. And then you like 30 minutes of a conversation of just nothingness, right? So let's say you have one of those conversations. Choosing someone says, what can I actively do for my relationship to create connection? Maybe you send them a game link. I failed at this, by the way. Maybe you send them an app where there's a game you guys can play, where you can do like Pictionary, or you can do, tic-tac-toe, or you can play, I can't think of Scrabble, right? You're creating connection, but you're choosing to create that connection with that person. So I really believe choice in long distance is important. That's how you say that. Like, no, I want this. Every day may not be like the best day. Every day may not feel like, God damn, I want you. Every day may not feel like, oh, I need to be next to you. Every day may not feel like we just had the best conversation in the world. But actively choosing someone, to me, is what Colt's talking about, action over time. And it's what you're talking about, John, which is being in love, because love is action over time versus in infatuation.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
What I'll say about that is that, and I love that. I love that wrap up. I love that. I agree with that. That's going to happen long distance or short distance. That
Yes,
what you just
1000%.
is just a relationship. That's just how relationships work. And whether if you're long distance, what we've been saying about long distance is long distance just magnifies all of those things. It just makes that next dimension very, very clear. It adds a layer to it. So you have to put that much more work into it, which is why if you're going to do long distance, you have to really know, like, oh, I really want to do this because it is going to be hard. It is inevitably going to be so hard. And you're going to be in conversations where, like you said, where there's silence, there's kind of awkwardness, but in that silence and awkwardness, you have to not just choose each other, you have to choose that in that moment you're willing to go, shit, it's fucking 4 a.m. where I am, and it's 8 a.m. where she is, and I know she just got up and she's feeding the dogs, and okay, I don't want to take this time up, but if I stay up another hour, she'll have time to talk, and then I can talk about, okay, what's really going on? Like, let me talk to you and be here. But that's not work that a lot of people, if I'm not lying for the sake of just sounding romantic, a lot of people don't want to actually do that. A lot of people don't actually want to put in the time it takes to be in the relationships that they want themselves to be seen in. How many of us want to be seen in these perfect relationships that just, oh man, love, it's so great. And
Come on now.
it's not how it goes. It's fucking hard. And like one of my brothers said at one point, I called him before Angelina and I got together because we were having a little figure outable patch, as it were. And this is before we started dating, and I had made some mistakes on my end, and she was like, I just need a second. I called my brother and I said, hey, what am I supposed to do? He said, look, man, everybody says relationships are work, but I don't work 16 hours a day to come home and work more. And at the time I heard him and he said, and I understand what he was saying. I said, he said at the time, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Don't push it. If it's not meant to be, you can't force it. Like, it's just is what it is. And at the time I remember being like, okay, and that calmed me down a little bit. But looking back, I understand what he meant, but his choice of words is not something that I would continue and say to anybody. Relationships are work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit what anybody says. Relationships are work to some degree, because if you're not working to any degree and you're just coasting through your relationship, either your person is pretending to agree with everything you say and you're some kind of sociopath that is accepting that, or you're not actually in tune with anything that they want. Mm-hmm. My wife is my best friend in the world, but she's going to go through things that I don't always understand. And like we said the other day during our live, like, even if you are in the same situation, right? I've been through this kind of pain. You're going through this kind of pain. Deal with it the way I dealt with it. That's not how it fucking works. We don't ever have a full like third eye into somebody else's pain. Shit is going to happen. You are going to come across problems you do not know how to solve, and you're going to have to sit there and do some work. And if you're not willing to do that, stop wasting everybody's time pretending like you want to be this hopeless romantic that you're not, just because you saw Matthew McConaughey in 5 films. You're not that. It's not how it works. It's longer than 2.5 hours. It's supposed to be a lifetime. Like, stop acting like some holier than thou asshole that's just supposed to get it right. That's not how it works. It's hard, and it's worth it. And if it's not worth it, and fuck it, it's not worth it. Stop dating that person. Go be single. Go hike the Himalayas. I don't know. Figure out what the fuck you want to do, but stop acting like it's this person or nothing, but I don't really want to do anything that's going to inconvenience me. Sorry. I'm not. Season 3 episode.
Yeah, I love that.
Inserts. Come on, somebody.
Come on,
That's where the fade happens.
That's like if I was a DJ, I had a button. Come on, somebody. Dude, what? Oh my God.
Just scorched earth.
I think scorched earth, I love that as the seasons have. This is such a beautiful thing. Let me be dramatic for the hell of being dramatic. But we've gotten rawer and rawer as the seasons have. We've gone from season 1, which is very like PG. We were very kind and very like politically correct, and I think we got a little. We tried to get some feathers.
It was hard to argue.
Like, we're gonna have a disagreement here. We should plug that there.
Did
right?
we? Did we even have one disagreement in the first season?
We did. We had one towards the end, but it wasn't really a disagreement because Colt got really excited about it. Because when we did our highlights, and to the audience, if you haven't watched it, when we were on hiatus, we did highlights of like our favorite moments. Jon did his favorite moments. Colt did his favorite moments. I did my favorite moments. I'm going to throw it back to Colt so Colt can point at a corner, and then you can click on a link to get to the highlights of what we saw from previous seasons. But when I went through season 1, I was like, damn, we've grown so much as a show. Now, one of my favorite things about season 1 that we didn't have in season 2 was the guest. Like, the guests brought so much to our dynamic that it's like, how do we even continue any more refineries without a guest coming in from this outside perspective? Whether it be female, whether it be another guy who's into men's coaching, whether it be whoever, a CEO, like, it's so good because we have such a common, and this is a word I've been using, but we have a common ethos that we use. Whether we are doing it consciously or subconsciously, we have a common ethos that we work out of. And that's why we rarely disagree, right? Last season got a little rowdy. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Last season we had some moments, and I was like, Colt's getting there. But listen. I'm like, okay. And Jon's like, actually, guys, let me sit back here. I don't agree with either one of you. Like, so many beautiful moments, but even now, sitting here in season 3, we've become so comfortable in ourselves and our own thoughts, and have had so much life happen since May, June of last year. Like, so much life has happened that this is my other segue sidebar. I was driving home and I could have cried. I'm not gonna lie, I could have cried. And there's literally a school on the street that I drive in on. It's elementary school. And it's about a mile square radius. So people walk around it, kids walk around it, you know, you can picture it in your mind, but dogs, you know, they walk their dogs, whatever. And especially in the afternoon when the weather's really nice. When COVID hit, it was a ghost town because no one was allowed to be like within 6 feet of each other. It was just like, no one was out. And if someone was out, it was like 2 or 3 people on the block and that was it. And I missed it. I missed the kids and I missed the people and I missed the old guy with his hands behind his back and his tracksuit and like his little dog. And today when I drove in, dude, it's like 60, 65 degrees. It's kind of sunny, a little bit of clouds. And it's like alive again. Some people aren't wearing masks. Some people are because that's their choice. But it was so beautiful to see life. Like, you don't realize how much it impacted a lot of people because I didn't realize how much it impacted me because I'm kind of a low-key, like, to myself guy anyway. But back to that messaging, I didn't realize that seeing all the people, the 30, 40, 50 people walking around the school was like a thing that became a comfort for me. And then my comfort was ripped away. And now the isolation and the loneliness is impacting me. So then when I see the community again, I see the people again, it literally brought that nostalgia back up and that feeling of like, wow, I miss this. I miss these people. I miss life again. So I don't know how you guys have been with it, but being with the two of you to bring this whole thing full circle, being with the two of you at the stables and just kind of like doing us and laughing and playing music and like not worrying about some virus that could kill us. Not that we weren't being safe, guys. Anyone who's watching this, we were very safe and precautious, but not having that worry, like, take away the time that we shared. I'm so grateful that no one from the group was like, hey guys, I can't do this because it was so good for the soul. It was so good for the soul.
I think the big thing I want to add to what was nice about that weekend was it's just like being able to connect again. Because even connecting with friends, it's been this whole kind of dance of, is it safe? Are you good? Are you wearing a mask? What are you comfortable with? So everyone is playing guarded. Everyone, whether it's like, even if you're saying like, I'm good, like we can hang, there's still a bit of guarding in everything. And I think that night it was like all three of us, we were safe. We did, like, whether it be through testing, vaccination, like all of us did our parts that we all felt comfortable that night. And just the honesty of just being with other people, of honest conversations and talking and just sharing what was coming up, because we shot the shit, but at the same time we were open about stuff, and then we helped each other out with what each other were going through. I think that's what we all missed, and that's why, like, I remember when COVID first happened, I had this question of just like, oh, is this when VR and AR takes over? Because now everyone has to be home, and are we about to lose human connection? And I think the beautiful thing is we're seeing that no, the human connection is so powerful that, like, yeah, AR and VR will exist to an extent, but human connection is so important. People want to get back. People are like so excited to get back in person. And it's, while we've done these calls for a year now almost, it's completely different when you meet in person. And I think we all appreciate being able to meet in person because it's just a different level of connection. So I think I'm glad to see that is still a thing.
Well, I think what you're saying speaks to the fact that it will be so exciting when, and also kind of jarring for people when we're all on the same camera, or when we're all, in the same room on, a multicam setup. But it's going to be that much more exciting when we're able to do in person, and when the three of us are sitting on a stage and we have an audience and we can actually talk and we can take questions and we can literally talk about those situations as they come up, and have a genuine conversation that's refining not just the three of us and other people over time, but in the moment. And that's what I think the difference of being together for that time was there was no, well, I'm just going to click out of this and then go about my night or day. We were standing there and Brandon was like, I feel like Colt's going to say it. Fuck it, I'm going to say it. And just like unloaded. And there were moments between all of us. We were watching. Brandon. Her breakthrough with Smokey Joe was insane.
And forever a moment. Forever a moment. Yeah.
It was something we all got to share that had we watched that on Zoom would have been cool. But like, let's not beat around the bush. Like it wouldn't have been the same thing. And I don't know that you would have necessarily taken that step the same way. There was something else there. So yeah, to, like you said, bring it full circle. The long distance of our relationship hasn't kept us from being close. It's actually, if anything, allowed us, I believe, a little bit of a safety net to learn each other comfortably and within our own kind of spheres, that so much so that when we came together, it genuinely made no sense that we hadn't met before.
Yeah.
It just didn't register.
I think in the episode that you had Ange on it, or on the episode, she mentioned that something that always stuck with me was just like, quarantine actually like kind of helps dating, because now you're kind of not necessarily forced, but like there's a bigger choice to do the option of video call before you go on a date, and you can find out, do I even want to spend time with this person? If I can't even do a time on video, what a chance I'm going to spend time with them in person.
In person.
And so it's interesting that like we started like that. We did the same thing. Is like we started through video, and it made for if we were able to connect through video, man, when we're in person, it's gonna be so much better. And we're able to see that example last week. Was just like, because I think this is, I was thinking about a couple of weeks ago, this is the first real, not only just friend, but like someone who I'm like, this is a brother, like I can open about anything and I would be there for him for anything before I even met you. Like I haven't physically met you, and you're at that level. And it was the first time I had that experience of being able to create that. And it's the beautiful thing about Zoom and COVID and like all this, one of the beautiful things that came out of it. Now it's just like, now seeing it makes me appreciate so much. Like when we get to meet together, it's like, oh man, it's gonna be so much better. And the fact of like, these tools help that we can be in completely different parts. I mean, right now of the States, but one day around the world, and still be able to connect and have these conversations.
I think this also speaks to intimacy in close distance, right? So we've been aiming and talking about long distance, but what happens when you have close distance? And the idea of cultivating intimacy when you do have someone within arm's reach, right? Like you still, because Esther Perel talks about this in Colt, and I don't know, John, if you study Esther Perel at all, but she talks about that, right? Distance creates desire, and desire is needed for a relationship. That fire has to be fueled by oxygen. You have to create some sense of independence and some sense of your own thing, and then you come back together with your partner. And I think the beautiful thing that long distance teaches you is, especially with time zone differences and different things like that, it teaches you like, we're not going to be able to talk right now. So what am I going to do with my time in this frame of, it's 8 a.m. for, like Colt said, it's 8 a.m. for me, and it's whatever, it's 12 at night for them. It's not going to work. I'm waking up, they're going to bed. So we're catching each other in the in-betweens, you know? And that teaches you how do you thrive in a relationship when you can't communicate as often. But what a lot of people fail is suffocation. Because you're a 20-minute drive, because you're a text away, because you're a call away, they begin to suffocate someone because they think, because they're close, I have to do this. I have to be close to them. I have to call them. We have to be together all the time. Some people want to be together all the time. But when you start to feel it being forced, when you start to feel yourself thinking, well, they're so close and I'm bored, I should go see them. They should want to see me because we're together, because, instead of I want to. The thing that Matthew McConaughey said about Hollywood that I really will always equate to relationships is, he says he had a massive lesson when he got to LA, and he wanted a manager and an agent, and this guy he was staying with had connections to agencies and managers. And he says, hey man, do you think you can get me a meeting to with an agency. And the guy said, no, get out of here. Get out of my house. Don't ask me. I don't want to go into the full story, but the guy said, get out of here. Go to Europe for a year, come back. Just go travel, see the world. And he came back and he had this sense of not wanting or not needing Hollywood. He just was kind of more like, I'm an actor. All right. Well, you just got to keep living, brother. Livin. Like, he became so mellow about everything. And when he became mellow and he let go of his attachments and expectations, the guy said, now you're ready for an agent meeting. And his little bumper sticker was, want her, don't need her. That's LA, that's Hollywood, but that's relationship. Mm-hmm. Want someone without needing them. Because you'll suffocate, you will take out the oxygen that will fuel the flame of desire and love and passion in your relationship. And you'll be standing there wondering, well, where did it go and why?
Beautifully said.
Yeah, there it is. Fade out, fade to black.
Fade to black. Hey,
Yeah.
Careful. What are you talking about? This is the time here, Colt.